and welcome to Olsem Wanem. On this edition, we feature the upcoming elections for the Motu Koita Assembly, the plight of the villagers and what changes they want to see for the future. But first, we take a look at how the Motu Koita Assembly came to be.
The Motu Koita people inhabited the southern coastal and immediate inland areas, living between the western coastal village of Gallyreach, the national capital Port Moresby, and Hood Point along the southeast coast. For some 3,000 years, the Koita have inhabited the Sigeri Plateau, adjacent to the coastal city of Port Moresby and immediate inland areas. The Motu were the last to migrate into the central south coast area with an archaeological record dating between 1,000 and 2,700 years ago. Arriving in 3 waves, the first near the present site of the capital city, and subsequent coastal sites both south and north of Port Moresby. With them, they brought new technology, superior seacraft, ceramics, and an extensive trade system. Becoming outstanding long-distance navigators and conductors of ocean trade, they commanded large areas of coastal economy and formed what has been described as the dominant cultural core of the Papua New Guinean central southern coast. By aligning with the Koita group, the Motu quickly became the reigning cultural group, developing long-standing interrelationships through the sharing of marriage partners, trade routes, costumes, and coastal village sites. Today, they may be small in number and a placid group of land resource owners, but their proximity to Port Moresby has some side effects. Although the Motu Koitabuans have contributed greatly to the history and development of Papua New Guinea, they have their fair share of worries and concerns to their conditions of livelihood and the direction of their future. Access to basic health care, education, shelter, piped water, environmental impacts to their land resources, and illegal sales of customary land are just some of their uncertainties. Representing them is the Motu Koitabu Council. It owes its establishment to the National Capital District Commission Amendment Act 1992. The amendment came 2 years after the NCDC Act was passed. Today, you can find the Motu Koitabu Council in the NCDC Act of 2001 under Part 9. The Council is responsible within the Motu Koita area for the provision and maintenance of such basic services, community activities, education and health as the Minister directs. The functions of the National Capital District are to control, manage and administer the NCD, and to ensure the welfare of the NCD and the people in it. To ensure that an adequate level of assistance is given towards Tabudubu Limited, the company established for the Motu Koitabu people of NCD. The objectives of the Motu Koita Assembly, according to their act in 2007, objectives and principles are, I quote, to protect and strengthen the identity of the Motu Koita people as the original landowners of the National Capital District, and to promote equal opportunity and popular participation in government by the Motu Koita people, and to provide for the Motu Koita people, especially the basic human needs for water, health, education, transportation, communication, accommodation and social order through economic self-reliance, and to protect the customary land and natural resources of the Motu Koita people. The Motu Koitabu are the traditional landowners of the National Capital District. Their assembly represents them. Today, they inhabit Koko, Buruni, Taurama, Hanuabada, Pari, Babukori, Kirakira, Mahuru, Korbasia, and Tatana. It is estimated there is a population near 30,000 people, with half of that residing in Hanuabada.
You're with Olsem Wanem. When we return, we look at what type of basic services is lacking in the Motu Koita villages. This is Olsem Wanem. The Motukoita villages have been without proper basic services. We highlighted some of those issues in this segment. The Motukoita villages have been neglected in various aspects of development, and it is quite evident within their respective villages. Water has been an ongoing problem. Most villages feel like they're living out of suburbia in a settlement. Women still struggle to walk long distances to carry water daily to their homes for cooking, laundry, drinking, and bathing. And if that's bad enough, the lack of running water means that curable diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, and malaria are inevitable simply because there is no water, no proper sanitation, or handling of rubbish, which is an ever-increasing health hazard. What intrigues most Motukoitabuans is the lack of development within their communities and mounting frustration with the lack of transparency within the current assembly.
My research, I thought the failure was a working relationship between the authorities at the top and the Motukoita. Because these are separate institutions that should be working together in order to create change.
Would really love to see Motukoitabu Assembly and the National Capital District working together, because the Motukoitabu Assembly and the National Capital District Commission should be a government working together hand in hand. It's like the provincial governments. You have the provincial administrator and you have the provincial governor. These two should be working hand in hand to build the Motukoitabu society. That's not happening at the moment. Transport ai tahe kwarahimu, runway tahe kwarahimu, even electricity ai dan tahe kwarahimu. Health taladia be matara kamu clinic talam neganai. Itana clinic na baita mai le de hanwa lalode itana basitara kabona clinic no na kone do boya na basitala basitabi baita la 3 mile hedru baita blast. Clinic la hanwa lalode baya to neganai itan hedru na kai kai na baita biam. Be magau badadia neganai very fair dan betalam general hospital. Niga marai dia na tako marai dia to edia impact na babada na hanwa lalo na however na da nauram betagini hebo betaraka hebo era au karana hanwa lalo na ihana mona daina dia na hanwa badai moto west electorate katana bona baruni bona lau bena gine kana lau na ramu must be east bona west hine dia na bayau kara hebo hine lana dai Motukoitabu hanwa dai gubo dai Pari, Babukori, Kira, Hanwa Bada Baruni Bontakana. My Tao Parahebo Nekana, Motukoitabu Ha, Hinedia, Kekeni, the Gadodia, Naita Beta Abidays. Here, Benasenisi Betavari. Then
the only place that we know about is in the West Coast. He has not, in 5 years, he has not come down to the villages and told us in person what we hear or what we see. The only times that we know that there's problems is when we read about it in the newspaper. We have our villages right in town, and they don't have to travel an hour to go to all the villages. So what's stopping him and stopping them from right down to where they started from? This time around 5 years ago, they were complaining to people asking them to vote them in. But when it comes down to talking to people at times of problems, they never tell us. The only time we learn about problems is when we read about them in the newspaper. It's confirmed. So I have a father-in-law who cannot vote. He's from Wanem. He's married into my mother-in-law's mother, but he cannot vote. But he spent all his life here. He denied me. It's a constitutional right. There's a mixture of feelings on that. There's a lot of people who think that they should deny their constitutional rights to vote.
how does it affect them?
Well, they contribute economically to the village, and in all church activities, we accept their contributions. But when it comes to these kind of things, then politics falls in and we deny them that right. What's the difference between for them to stay here 30, 40 years and not allowed to vote? It's not right.
You're with Olsem Wanem. We speak to some of the intending candidates when we return. This is Olsem Wanem. With the election fever 2 weeks away, we spoke to a few prominent intending candidates to suss out what their platforms are going into the elections, and most spoke passionately about the type of changes they would make if elected. Intending candidates for the Motokoita elections had an opportunity to talk about their platforms and their frustrations with the current MK administration, but are also optimistic about the future should they be successful in the coming elections.
Due to the inconsistent network working relationship with the authorities, existing the services that should be delivered to
The motivating factors I see is the people itself, their livelihood. How can we help develop? How can we enhance? How can we be able to stand up for our own rights, the Motokoita people? That's much more motivating than having to have. And it's going to be very satisfying if we enhance the Motokoita people through human resource development as within our west and our east Motokoita electorates. We need to have those clinics so our mothers and children don't have to walk that distance, or they don't have to catch PNVs to go to the main hospital to get health services. So all these infrastructure has to come in.
As I see, the Motokoita Council is operating without a plan. It's not development plan. There's absolutely nothing. It's badly managed, badly led. There's a lot of infighting amongst the 16 members against the chairman, and as you might have read in the papers, the split. It's a very little body, Brahman authority, and it's split. And as a result, the village people, the poor people, suffer. You know, the difference is these 5 years, the authority, the assembly, was very lucky. It was funded very well by the government and also NCD. But because of the court battles that are going on, as a result, our people are not receiving services because most of the funding that is supposed to go to Motokoita Council are going to the lawyers. Lawyers are benefiting out Motokoita funds. And, you know, we know for a fact that there's, the National Capital District grant us about 5 million per year. What happens to that 5 million? We very rarely see the results of 5 million in the work of development in the village.
Facets of life, of all facets of development, we are left behind. Economic empowerment, education, law and order, you know, a lot of activities, health, you know, you name it. Anything to do with progressing and empowering our people, we lag behind. We lag behind Motokoita ones, simply because of the situation we have caught in. The fast pace of development in Port Moresby has left us behind. If the people who have migrated to Moresby think they've been left behind, ours is even worse than that. You know, like we live in villages. We are in the 21st century. We still have to use latrine toilets, pit toilets. Fortunate ones do their own septic, but we're not hooked up to the city sewer system. Even water is in dribs and drabs. We have to fetch water. Our women bend their back every day to fetch water. And when you analyze that, those are our basic rights. Youth empowerment, let me answer youth empowerment. It's the easier one first before I go on to the difficult one. Youth empowerment, I think the future lies in the hands of the youth. You have a disgruntled youth, you have trouble coming ahead. Your days are, in future days are pretty gloomy. Give them a hope. They are future leaders. One day they take over from you. Then at least they can be part of they'll be participating. They'll be part of your development plan.
You're watching Olsem Wanem. When we come back, we chat with the former chairman of the Motokoita Assembly and the governor of NCD. You're with Olsem Wanem. In this last segment, we speak to the outgoing chairman of the Motokoita Assembly to gauge his thoughts on achievements of the Assembly over the last 5 years. And we also sought a response from the Honorable Governor for NCD, Powers Pakop, on the partnership aspect of Motu-Koita Assembly.
Since 1872 up to now, since the establishment of Port Moresby City, Motu-Koita has been neglected. Now all of a sudden the Somali government has established an assembly which gives us a special autonomy to have the taxing power and all these things. But because Governor Powers Park and NCD is holding on to our money, we cannot implement ourselves. I don't know, it's politics. We are supposed to be paid 10% of that money. Only 2% or less than 2% has been paid to us every month. Now all the tax in NCDC are paid to Internal Revenue Commission. And the Internal Revenue Commission then paid 60% of that tax to NCDC. And NCDC then must pay, as approved by as a vehicle, to pass on that money of 10% to us.
Legally, they are autonomous government. We don't have any control or power over them. The only way in which we contribute to Motu-Koita Assembly is to give them funds. And under the law too, they are not accountable to us. So that's a funny type of situation where somebody gives money, but the recipient does not acquit or account to the donor. So it's a bit strange, but that's the scheme of things as it is under the existing Motu-Koita Assembly Act. When the inaugural assembly was formed, was to impress on them that that's the law, but we should also have a MOA which sets out the parameters between NCDC as the municipal government covering even the Motu-Koita villages and the Motu-Koita Assembly as a, if you like, a local government particular to the Motu and Koitabu villages. But up to now, they have not agreed to having a MOA. If we have an MOA, we can bypass the law and say that, okay, because of the lack of capacity, NCDC will be responsible for this big infrastructure like roads and schools and health and so on. We got to sort this out. Again, choosing their wisdom, they decided that it's maybe better to take me to court or the commission to court. They think that they will get more out of the commission. But the reality in the commission is this, that for the last 4 years, our budget has been below 200 million. And with 200 million, less than 200 million, how can you run a city of about 500,000 to 700,000 with the type of resources? It's not possible. If I adhere to the claim by the current chairman, Mr. Ikupu, that he gets 50 million, I will shut down one of my departments in NCDC. It might be engineering, so you won't get any road sealing and drainage and footpath being done in our city. Or I might close community and social services, so no rubbish will be collected and no markets will be run and all the sporting activities will come to an end. This is the dilemma that I'm faced with. And my colleague on that side, Mr. Ikupu, I try to get him to understand and appreciate that, so we go back to the national government, which created this government, but then offload it to NCDC to, help us out. Now they've taken us to court again to charge us for contempt of court. So that's a matter for the court to decide. I'm happy to face contempt of court charges. But as far as I'm concerned, the orders of the court was that we pay them 10% of the GST refund that we received from IRC.
Assembly was to look after the affairs of the Motu-Koita people, provide the services to the Motu-Koita people. The government services must reach the people of Motu-Koita, and we must be appropriately funded by the government. And we must also protect our culture, our heritage, and also our land. First of all, my greatest achievement is the school fee subsidy. I've been paying school fee subsidy for all the Motu-Koita children ever since I became the chairman. This money was paid under the grant that the Somali government gave me, 10 million kina. I've been paying, majority of that money went to the school fees payment. But it never came from the NCDC money. NCDC money is completely separate. It's the operational money that we have, which is paid by NCDC to Motu-Koita Assembly. Unfortunately, the progress in that area has been halted. I have also launched a land audit, inquiry into all the land in Port Moresby National Capital District, which belongs, how much belongs to the Motu Koirabu people, how much is still under customary land, and how much been owed or has been taken away, alienated from the people as a state land and freehold land. The most important thing that we have is our land. A land that the city of Port Moresby is built on. The most expensive real estate in Papua New Guinea. However, we don't benefit from it. We have not received anything for the land that we have. And we sacrifice that land to the people of Papua New Guinea and the country as a whole for capital city to be built here. It's historical happening, but we want to be fairly compensated through our government services, through our educational opportunity. But most of all, now that we have a Motu Koirabu assembly, we want to be funded appropriately. We want to be funded so that the services filter down to the very people who need it.
Yeah, they'll blame me for everything, I know. But the situation is this, that I think the assembly members, there's no fault on their part. The problem lies with their chairman. Their chairman, as far as my understanding of the act is concerned, is that he's just a nominal chair. He does not have extra power. He's just the chair of the assembly. The assembly is both assembly and executive. So everybody makes the decision together. I'm not sure if they are doing that. So I'm not sure if there was a decision to pursue that line of, how to solve the financial inadequacy. But that's something they've chose. So if it's a collective decision, then the entire assembly takes responsibility. But I had met with them from day one when they opened the inaugural assembly to impress on them the challenges that we face as a city and as indigenous people in our city, and trying to find ways in which we together could work together and resolve some of these issues. They choose not to take up my suggestion, so they can't blame me for their inability to deliver or their underachievement. I think if we have a chairman that is more cooperative, understand the dilemma that I face and the challenges that he or she face, and we work together to resolve it. That's the way we're going to resolve things. If you start, having a confrontational or attacking, your possible partners, you'll get nowhere.
2008, when the Motu Koirabu became in existence, the eligibility of who votes and who becomes candidate was highlighted in that law, Section 6 of the regulations, which says, if you have a mother or a father who is a Motu Koirabu, you have every right to stand as a candidate and vote in the election. Then I've studied the groundwork for us to get our money and to fund all our projects. I have done the arranged agreement with the PNG Power to upgrade our power system toward Motu Koirabu village. We have only one phase. We want to improve the power line to 3 phase so that everybody will have adequate power services throughout the villages. I want to improve the water system, and I've already started in Hohondai, Hanobada, a pilot project to connect all the houses to water with a fee of 10 kina per house per month to Edarano.
My problem has been one of a lack of finance. If I had all the money that one could wish for, I'm sure I'll give them all the money that they want. But I think it's not an issue of money. It's an issue of how you utilize what you are given. I will be calling a meeting soon of all the stakeholders so that they can understand the consequence, whatever they do, has on the city. We've got to provide water, we've got to provide sewage, we've got to provide electricity. All these have a cost factor. So, and water and sewage and electricity can only be accessed if the land is properly demarcated. It's got a section lot number. That's what the NCDC can do. We can send in the surveyors, they survey everything, they provide the easement, allow easement for everything, water, power, sewage, and roads. But right now the landowners are doing it themselves. Roads is going here and there everywhere.
That's all we have time for. The Olsem Wanem team wishes to express its gratitude to all those who made time for this story. Our intention was to highlight the plight of the people who deserve positive change within their communities. We wish all the candidates best of luck come July 6, 2013. Good night.